Engel. He's the ranking member on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And I wonder what you think, Congressman, of the first issue that you think the president really should touch on in his address tonight.
Well, I think the president's going to talk a lot about the economy and the middle class, and I think that's important because although the economy has improved greatly, the middle class is still not feeling it. And I think that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to use this speech as part of his legacy, quite frankly. He faces a Republican Senate and a Republican House that's majority that's hostile to what he has to say, anything he has to say. And I think that he wants to put it right out there to the American people, speak directly to the American people, even though this is a State of the Union. He's really talking to the American people as well. And I think people will see the real Barack Obama tonight.
And what about, you say they're hostile to anything, and certainly they're going to, the Republicans in Congress, most of them, if not all of them, will be hostile to one of the biggest proposals we know the president is going to put out there, increasing taxes on the wealthy and creating tax credits for lower earners. Knowing whether, no matter what you think of that politically, knowing that there's no way that gets through a Republican Congress, why is the president pushing that?
Well, because I think sometimes the State of the Union is not only putting forward proposals that can get through Congress, it's putting forward proposals that the president really believes. And it might not get through this Congress, but when he puts it out there, it'll percolate and will hopefully get through other Congresses in the future. I think it's a very, very important issue. The middle class works hard. It's very hard to even just keep in place. Wealthy people are doing very, very well in this economy, but people who work are struggling. And I think the president is going to propose different proposals that will help put more money in people's paychecks. You know, paychecks haven't really increased that much, and there's still a sense of feeling that people are sliding backwards. If people are working a full-time job and earning money, they should be earning enough money to be able to keep their family eating and clothed and all kinds of things that you expect, but that hasn't been the case with so many people.
Is that where we're at, though? I sort of wonder from the perspective of, just Americans who may be tuning in tonight, or maybe the ones actually who won't be tuning in. You said some of these things won't pass this Congress. Well, we're at the beginning of 2 years of this Congress, so is that where we're at, just sort of resigned to the fact that nothing much is going to get done?
Well, I'll support most of these programs, but I wish more people would. Look, the president has laid it out on immigration, and it's really been rejected by the Republicans. The president's laid it out on tax cuts for middle class, and at the expense of perhaps taxing the 1% of Americans a little bit more, and that's something the Republicans don't like. I don't think the president can worry about what might or might not pass. I think he has a bold vision that he's going to put out there, and hopefully, you never know where it all ends. You put it out there, it becomes talking. People start talking about it. There's pressure. I mean, you never know. So I think we're going to see the president's vision tonight, and I think it's going to be a good one.
Can you tell us, from your I guess, view as a significant member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, we're at this key time when it comes to terrorism. What do you want to hear President Obama say about it?
Well, I think people want to fight the war on terror. I want to hear the president talk about a war on terror. I want to hear of his plans to fight it. We have ISIS. They're obviously very, very dangerous. We've seen the events in Paris, in France, these past couple of weeks. I think people want to know that the United States is very involved in the fight against terrorism, and I think it's important that the president articulate it. I'm particularly interested in hearing what the president has to say about the Iran negotiations, because I'm supportive of it, but I think at some point we've got to keep the pressure up on Iran, and the question is, what do you do? What does Congress do? And so I want to hear what the president says about all these foreign policy challenges to America's security, challenges by terrorism, and I think basically what has happened in Europe recently and in Paris, and I think the American people want to hear it as well.
Yeah, it's so important this year. Congressman Eliot Engel, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And the